that's the purpose of our coming together, to be edified. Paul did not rejoice over a chance to show his power because of the evil in the church. He didn't want to do that. He's not happy that he's going to have to discipline. He was, in fact, praying that the good in the lives of the Corinthian Christians would cause his authority to go without proof. He didn't want to prove he had the authority. Their father in the faith would gladly have them keep on thinking of him as weak and without authority, since that would mean that he had not been required to discipline them. He doesn't want to discipline. His desire was that they would change while he was away from them. Of course, this is talking about a sin between two brothers, so it's a little different. I acknowledge that. But notice he says, first go and talk to him about his fault between you and him alone. And the word alone there literally translated to be without companion. Don't take anybody with you. But notice that he says 2 or 3 witnesses. Now here's Paul, and he says, if I come, guess what? If there needs to be discipline, we're going to do it on the basis of witnesses. He's going to have at least 2 witnesses. The time for patiently waiting had passed, and any still involved in sin would be punished severely. Paul is not going to talk anymore. He's going to deal with it. Division and carnal thinking must end. That's the message. Calyx verses 3 and 4.
Verse 3 and 4. Since you seek a proof of Christ speaking in me, who is not weak toward you, but mighty in you. For though he was crucified in weakness, yet he lives by the power of God. For we also are weak in him, but we shall live with him by the power of God toward you.
Okay, thank you. They challenged Paul's inspiration and accused him of preaching a weak Christ. Paul said Christ's power is evident in the work that I have done. Christ was truly crucified because of man's weakness, but that was man's weakness, not Christ's weakness. Christ was also truly raised in power from the dead, and we've already seen that in 1 Corinthians, but it's also mentioned in Romans 4:24, Romans 6:4, Romans 8:11, and 1 Peter 1:21. All those demonstrate he's raised by power. Paul, because of Christ, had suffered trials and the weaknesses of man. He now prepared to show God's power to them in punishment. It's sad. You're a weak man and you preach a weak Christ. He said, just wait till I come. We're going to find out how weak I am and how weak Christ is. So kind of reminds me of some of the warnings you get from your mom and dad when you're growing up.
Wait till I get home.
Yeah, something along that order. Yeah, something very similar. Okay, Michael Stillwell, verses 5 and 6.
Verses 5 and 6. Examine yourselves to see whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves, or do you not realize this about yourselves, that Jesus Christ is in you, unless indeed you fail to meet the test. I hope you will find out that we have not failed the test.
Okay, Paul challenged his readers to test themselves as Christians, just as they had tested him as an apostle. That's kind of an interesting way to put it, but that's what he's talking about. So So here's what he has to say about it. He says, Jesus would be in them if they were obedient. You got to think about John chapter 14, verse 23. Jesus talking to the apostles, of course, there. And listen to what he has to say. John 14, verse 23, where he says, if anyone loves me, he'll keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him. So those who fail the test would be reprobates. And that Linsky says that reminds him of Jeremiah chapter 6.
Mm-hmm.
So Mike Taylor, read Jeremiah 6, 27 through 30.
Jeremiah chapter 6.
Yeah, 27 to 30.
I'm going to read it from the ESV.
Okay.
I had made you a tester of metals among my people, that you may know and test their ways. They are all stubbornly rebellious, going about with slanders. They are bronze and iron. All of them act corruptly. The bellows blow fiercely. The lead is consumed by the fire. In vain the refining goes on, for the wicked are not removed. Rejected silver, they are called, for the Lord has rejected them.
Okay, so those who fail the test would be reprobates. And now listen to Linsky talks about that Jeremiah passage and how it fits here. Tested and found false, spurious, either not believing the real gospel, but something else, or only pretending to believe the gospel while not really believing it. The apostle hoped they knew that he would not fail the test. He's a true apostle. He follows the true gospel, no matter what the false teachers do. All right, Chip, verse 7.
Now we pray to God that you do no wrong, not that we ourselves may appear approved, but that you may do what is right, even though we may appear unapproved.
Okay, his prayer for the Corinthians was that they be faithful. He did not pray this so that his name would be cleared and they would again respect him. Rather, he would allow his name to remain stained in their sight if only they could be found faithful. All right, Calix, we're back to you, verses 8 and 9, please.
8 and 9. For we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. For we are glad when we are weak, and you are strong. And this also we pray, that you may be made complete.
See, go on to 10. I'm sorry.
Verse 10. Therefore I write these things, being absent, lest being present I should use sharpness, according to the authority which the Lord has given me for edification and not for destruction.
Okay, and that edification, remember, that was one of his great themes in chapter 14 of 1 Corinthians, when he talked about that's the purpose of our coming together, to be edified. Paul did not rejoice over a chance to show his power because the evil in the church. He didn't want to do that. Look, now I think of, that old saying most parents have said at some point, this is going to hurt me more than it does you. Paul feels that way. He's not happy that he's going to have to discipline. He was, in fact, praying that the good in the lives of the Corinthian Christians would cause his authority to go without proof. He didn't want to prove he had the authority. Their father in the faith would gladly have them keep on thinking of him as weak and without authority, since that would mean that he had not been required to discipline them. He doesn't want to discipline. His desire was that they would change while he was away from them. All his authority and power were intended to be used to make the congregations grow. He hated the thought of using that power to cut out infected and diseased members. And that's kind of what you pick up on in that verse 10 when he's talking about, you know, I don't want to cut out the disease. I want instead to be able to praise you for what you are.